So big news yesterday, Zillow's earnings, they mentioned that they are going to be closing Zillow Offers. If you don't know what Zillow Offers is, that's their iBuyer business. If you don't know what iBuyer is, it's basically, you look at this estimate, Zillow makes you an offer to buy your house, you accept it, they buy your house. There is, there are more fees involved in it than a lot of people realize. I'm not saying that Zillow is trying to get over on people. I'm just saying that it's a new model. So there are fees that people don't typically experience in a real estate transaction. Zillow's model was to buy that property, fix it up, and flip it for a profit. The problem has been the profit part of it. They haven't been making a profit. I read last week that some 93% of the houses that they have for sale in Phoenix right now, which is a big market for them, are listed for less money than they paid for them. We don't know how much money they put into them in terms of renovations and all of that. And so rather than just comment it and react on this yesterday, I wanted to kind of think about it and then share my thoughts. So just quick numbers. Everybody knows, if you're a real estate agent, you know Zillow, and lots of agents look at Zillow as the devil. And they do that mainly because Zillow has a business model where they built a website that attracts a lot of buyers. Buyers go to that website, they have a feed from our MLS in the past. Now most of them are broker members of the MLSs. So they get a broker feed into their website. They display properties. Consumers say, I want more information on that property. And then they sell that lead to an agent. I participate in this because the leads are good, what we call bottom of the funnel leads. They're extremely expensive. They're on a cost per lead basis for a closed sale. They're unbelievably expensive. But we have the most unicorns, the most people that are ready to buy a house today come from all of my lead sources. Zillow appears to be the best. They started to compete with the industry leader in iBuyer, who is Opendoor. And by comparison, Opendoor did 8,500 iBuyer transactions last quarter, and by comparison, Zillow did 3,800. So Zillow's been playing catch up on iBuyer, trying to buy as many properties as they can to compete with Opendoor. So they don't want Opendoor to disrupt them in the iBuyer space. Why is iBuyer popular? Well, I would say iBuyer is popular because it makes it super easy for a seller. Like there's no showings, there's no putting your house on the market, there's no none of that. Like they make you an offer, you accept the offer, you choose your closing date, and you close. It's as simple as can be in terms of certainty. And that's probably the best word, is it provides a seller the most certainty. If we look at the market 3 years ago, it took a lot longer to sell a home once you put it on the market than it does today. Today, you put a house on the traditional real estate market with a real estate agent, there's a lot of certainty that that's going to close. And there's a good amount of certainty in the price, more than there was 3 years ago on both fronts. So iBuyer provided this certainty for a seller. If they looked across town and there was a house that they really wanted to own, they could go into the iBuyer program to sell their house to make sure that they're selling it with certainty. I liken it to buying a new car. Like, you can go buy a new car, and rather than trading your old car in, you could go out and sell it on the open market. The reality is, if you do that, you're gonna get more for that car, that used car, than you will trading it in wholesale from the dealer. But the majority of us trade it in wholesale to the dealer because it make it super convenient. You walk in, you give them the keys for your old car, you walk out with keys for the new car. That's what the iBuyer experience provides. Make no mistake about it, the iBuyer model wouldn't work if consumers didn't want it. There is a certain set of consumers that are willing to pay more money for convenience. There's also a certain set of consumers who are willing to pay more money for better service, for better quality service. Don't forget that. iBuyer started with Zillow about 3 years ago. Opendoor was already in the market. Let's look at all the changes that have happened over the last 3 years that would affect their model. So certainty. Like, it's much easier for somebody to sell a house today, the old way, than it was 3 years ago. So that's one. How about, they're flipping, right? How about the cost of paint and lumber, right? Like, that's gone through the roof. Is that going to affect their bottom line? I would say so. How about employees? My understanding, I don't know this for a fact, but my understanding is Zillow pays their employees per transaction that closes in iBuyer, right? So if you bring them a property and Zillow buys it, you get paid a bonus. Well, it seems like it would have made more sense, not telling Zillow how to run their business, they seem to do a pretty good job of that most days, but it would have made more sense to me to pay that bonus based on the profit that was made on that property flip. But I understand that that's not how they would do it. So we talked about building costs have gone up, labor costs have gone up, the bonuses have gone up. It's really hard to ensure that you're gonna get a win. And then like the last piece is, I help clients flip property. The analysis that goes into that, like you might be able to just do that in a spreadsheet without stepping foot in the property. I don't think you can. I think that you need somebody with local experience that understands the market, that understands the trajectory of the market, that understands local property values, that understands all of the idiosyncrasies of a property that you just can't pick up in photos and in video. And then the last thing that I think created a headwind, and most people I don't think would consider this, is appreciation. The market has been on fire and going up a lot. It's been an easy market for sellers to sell and to sell for a lot of money. And I think that most consumers want to sell their house for as much money as they can. And I think this appreciating market has created a market that's so good that iBuyer just isn't as big of a factor as it would have been 3 years ago for people. But what I want to end this with is, I see not all, but there's a lot of people in real estate in my industry out there that are cheering this loss for Zillow. And I don't understand why you would do that. I mean, Zillow is coming in and responding to what the consumer wants. I met Joe Rand through my affiliation with our MLS a few years ago. And Joe tells a story about how Zillow came to be, and I'm gonna share it really, really quickly. But what Joe says is, we as real estate agents had this model that we would send postcards, we'd put up stuff on our website, and we'd say, free property analysis. Call us, send us an email, and we'll tell you how much your property is worth. And that was our gateway to get into somebody's home, view the property, tell them how much it's worth, and then say, can I help you sell it? But what Zillow did with Zestimates is they just gave it to the consumer with no strings attached. They made it super simple. And the consumer told us, because they continue to go to the Zestimate, that they'll give up accuracy in the Zestimate for convenience. Like, Zillow built $1 billion company by giving away something that we created. They just did it more efficient than we did it. So are we willing to look at ourselves? Stop cheering their loss. This is not a zero-sum game. I remember the picture that you see of Michael Phelps or Usain Bolt, where they're winning the race, and the person in second place, rather than running their own race or swimming their own race, is focused on Michael Phelps or Usain Bolt. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, who cares what Zillow does? What they're doing is they're responding to what the consumer wants. I hope that we can all take this lesson that Zillow learned and apply it to our own businesses and stop worrying about what others do, worry about how we interact with consumers. We as an industry need to disrupt ourselves. We need to fix all of the antiquated systems. We need to do what Zillow is trying to do and remove as much friction from the real estate transaction as we possibly can. There's a win here for all of us, including Zillow. And I hope we recognize what's happened here and we can learn from the mistakes of the past, and we as real estate agents can take this opportunity to look within ourselves and be better, do better, make better investments. It's not about how I want to do the transaction. It's about how consumers want it.